Now, using what we did in that last painting, let's apply it into something that's just a little more developed. That means that I'm not going to be as wet and loose and sloppy. I'm going to try to pull it in a little bit, be more deliberate. And basically, you can see here, I'm going to have my orange and red clouds in the blue sky. The other thing that I'm doing is I'll be using an old painting that I just used as a demonstration to create some brush strokes and show some waves. So I'm going to repurpose a painting, and then we'll create our foreground. Now, the original painting had just some waves in here. We're going to turn it into a desert, add some yellow to create some grass. It could also be green if you want to create a different kind of feeling to it. But I think you're going to have fun with this and learn a lot. So let's have some fun. This is what I have. I was showing somebody how to make some very loose waves, and I'm thinking I can still use this idea here and turn that into a desert. Let's work with that idea. I'm going to take my quinacridone magenta. I'm thinking, is that what I want to use? And I'm going to use it because I don't have any permanent rose in my palette. I also have a little permanent alizarin crimson. Just by doing this here, I can see that I've got more water in that. I'm thinking, is this the color I want? Not exactly, but I'm going to work with that. So here we go. I'm going to try to get some brush strokes. I'm doing this on dry paper now. The problem is we're going to get lines. So I'm going to try just a slightly different approach. Okay, now I don't want to leave it that way, so I'm going to have to use, but I want the color intensity. So I'm going to soften some of these edges. I'm going to go along, going along the outside edge. Outside edge right through there. And I'm not trying to add more water into it. See what I'm doing? Removing the water, going along the edge. And let's do this here. It's going to create some blooms, but I'm kind of in that loose mode right now, so we'll see. Now, I don't necessarily want to mingle these two together, otherwise it's going to go muddy, but they can be side by side. Let's see what happens. So I'm experimenting here. That's my disclaimer. Experimenting. This is drying faster, so I can end up with blooms. I may not like that. Okay, so if I don't like that, I'm going to use this. Let's try to get that to move, force it. Let's see. I'm going to use that wash mottler here, and I'm going to dissolve a few of these edges. Play with the amount of pressure I apply. I'm trying to decide, do I want the bottom lighter? Do I want the top lighter? I would think we would have the top lighter. Okay, I don't want to go too deep into that. So then down in here, we've got our mountains. Let's use that little card again. This is going to dissolve up there. This is drier. I'm going to use my mud. We've got our blues. I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna into this to neutralize it. I don't want a lot of water. Let's start on this side. Let's see what we have. I'm thinking of a lighter value. This can be any mountain range. And then as we get up here, I don't want to release a lot of water, so I might press a little harder. And I did like the colors there. It's not necessarily that I wanted to get rid of everything, but I want to take advantage of what I have. Then I'm going to just soften that edge. Okay, this is all very wet. We don't have the definition as we do here. We're going to use this as our desert. So what if I took that color up there, bring in a bit more yellow. I could use a buff titanium or something. Let's see what we got, what we have here. That is pretty gross. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of the burnt sienna. That's just too much of that, but I'm going to use it. Okay, let's see what we've got. If I keep it light, a little more water, then we've got some nice sand. I hope that you can bear with me on this. And see how I'm changing the angle too? So we'll see. We'll see what develops with this. I'm looking at where I have my color and the texture, scraping things along. We've got our mountain in the distance. And how do I want to do this? I'm thinking of our desert floor. I actually do like some of these lighter areas because I think that that could be different kinds of sands. I like the texture. If I want to get more of a mountain in here, this is all wet, so I need to let that dry first. Okay, using the idea of the grassland, you know, well, we've got this in here. I don't want to get rid of all those lines. I personally just love all these spots. I may want to soften an edge or two. I can use this brush or I can use a number 20. So you can see that this is all very light. And if I look at that, that's a very nice darker value up there. I could consider even bringing more of that into some areas down here. I'll let that dry first. This has got some nice yellows in there. I could use, not necessarily go off into the greens. I'm thinking, what if I use this kind of muted color, try to create a different kind of feeling to it. So let's see, if I bring in some of those, let's bring in some of those blues. This was 90-pound or 140-pound paper, so it doesn't have the body as the 300-pound paper. I love painting with these little pieces of paper. Okay, I'm going to look for, where do I already have some structure? It looks like it goes down here. That could be a little gully. This could be a foreground. I could push this area back. We've got that over there. Okay, so let's see, maybe I'll pull this out a little bit more. Now I might be absolutely in love with areas, but what I'm thinking of, what can I push and pull? Okay, I do like that. I might touch a few of these edges, like you'll hear me say that over and over again, touch a few edges. And let's see, we've got this going over there. That's kind of a nice little, I could actually put some rocks in there. I might think of that. To me, that's a nice little gully. I do like the white of the paper. I don't really want to get rid of that. But this was a wave. I might change the shape of that a bit more. Take advantage of that. Anyway, you get the idea. Maybe a few little spots like that. I didn't like the shape of that. I still don't like the shape of that. And then now we have our mountain back there. I could get more defined, but I like how this is developing. And just by using that little piece of paper, I like a few of these little strokes that were created. Maybe I'll add just a few more. Now the danger is, how can I not overdo this? Maybe what I could do now is take my little number 8 or a different brush. Let's spatter a little color. Let's break that up. Let's see what happens. I think I like that. This reminds me of down your way, Georgia. It just had a second to dry a little bit. Let's create the horizon. I'm just barely touching. not being very careful here. Okay.
Well, I think it makes the mountains stand out from the grasslands.
Just a little bit, right? Some of those colors sort of repeated down here without it, being too much. And I did not care for this color at first, that mess that I made over there. But I think it worked out well. We'll call that done. Now, I hope that this has inspired you and how you can apply these techniques in your own paintings. So until next time, have fun and happy painting.